I think I always made the comment that once a Miller, always a Miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good heavens, he's done it again! Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you all for being with us and joining us on the same night that England are playing. Really rude of the FA to sort of game out on the same night as New York Talk, but what are you going to do? We will talk about the huge clash in midweek with Newcastle United's under-21s, which secured qualification, the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, and we'll look ahead to one of only two games in League One this weekend as we go to what used to be known as London Road. I don't know what it's called now, to be honest with you, but what used to be known as London Road and Peterborough on Saturday afternoon. Mick is with us. How is Mick doing?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thank you. All good. You?
Excellent news. You are?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right for a Thursday.
Oh, it's nice to know.
Yeah, I'm positive today. I think no negativity tonight. You know what I mean? There's nothing to be negative about, so let's not get down that road. Tom's back. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, all good. All good. No negativity from me.
And Danny's with us. How is Danny doing?
Hopefully I'm all right with the Wi-Fi. Hopefully that's not negative tonight.
We will find out soon enough.
Yeah.
People with us, Martin Holland, Richards with us, has three wins on the bounce, blimey. Powerman says, evening all you non-professionals. Darren Cook's with us, as is okay. John's with us, and Steve Gauntlet says, good evening, up the Millers. Yeah. Positive. Let's start with the Tuesday game. Harry's in the comments says, good performance from the B team on Tuesday. Hopefully gives a few selection headaches for Evans, but I can guarantee he won't be having a headache about poor Jack. I added the poor Jules in their post actuals. Well, let's start there, Tom. 3-1 win, qualification. It should have been 2-0. You know, their goal's a mistake, but it is what it is. But a positive night all around. There's a lot of good, decent performances.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you take it with a pinch of salt because it's against children, but it was all right. It was there were 2 or 3 excellent performances in there. There were 2 or 3 steady performances, and there were 2 or 3 people that you probably haven't done themselves a favor. In regard to people that you want to highlight, it's absolutely Jack Holmes. I thought he was by far and away man of the match. I've not thought much of him. I thought there's a bit of a player there currently. He's not done much for me, though. Gets the ball and is positive with it, but didn't do much. And yeah, against a team where you could take a bit more risks, he was excellent. I'm not sure if it justifies a start because we don't play with wingers for a start. So I don't see how he fits into the system that way. But in regards to everything else, he even did a shift at right back, and I thought he looked better than any other right back that's played there apart from Joe Rafferty this season. You know, it was just a case of how he was excellent, and I thought Cohen Bramall was very good as well. Defensively, still very, very, very questionable, but going forward, there's no denying that pace and ability to beat a man and cause some real havoc. So yeah, those are 2 players that stood out, and I think everyone's gonna want to talk about John Stones at the back. So I'll let someone else talk about him.
Yeah, let's sort of tick it off and get out of the way, Danny. Harrison Duncan became the second youngest player in Rotherham United's history, 16 years and some days. So the biggest, we were talking about this before we started, that I don't think he was amazing, but the biggest compliment you can pay him is that he looked like everybody else. So before, if his name was Zach Jules and he played like that, you wouldn't be surprised. You'd be fine. That it looked like a seasoned pro, and that is the biggest compliment you can pay him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you could tell he had youthful inexperience, shall we say, on his side with the first team at least. But that certainly did. You know, he looked like a professional footballer, effectively. Of which, he's still on a youth contract, but You know, if he plays like that and can only develop from there, then he'll slot into a first team, whether it's ours or, I don't know, West Ham's or whoever's. He'll slot in there. He's and yeah, like you say, he's our second ever youngest debutant in any cup or league competition, and he didn't look out of place. You could just tell he had, and if that's the benchmark that he set himself, and it's only up from here, so off he goes. Fair play to him.
Absolutely. John, it did start so well, didn't it? Initially, your wife looked like it was managing okay, but then it decided just to throw you under itself.
Is it all right now, or is it still dodgy?
It's all right now, but you barely said any words. When you go through sentences, it seems not to like you talking. Your laptop doesn't like it when you talk for too long, apparently.
Right. That's bizarre.
Very weird, but there you go. Yeah, Mick, I know you didn't watch the game because you had other commitments on Tuesday night, but to get a 16-year-old kid playing for you, and Stevens tried to talk him down, to be fair. You know, a couple of weeks ago, when the next John Stone comment came out from out externally, Steve Evans, I think rightfully so, tried to talk it down. He might not play for a long time. It might be the kind of Bradford game we're looking at. Kind of throws him in there and took him off after an hour or 70 minutes, whatever it was. That's a positive that you've got this kid who's good enough, number one. But also it kind of says to me that maybe Steve Evans is right in terms of managing, because the old Steve Evans may have just chucked him in on bench on a senior game straight away, and they got. I think this was the right game to play him, and I get another youth team with experience with Rafferty next to him, which is always next to him. I think the whole plan around him for Tuesday was perfect. Yeah,
I mean, it's not going to be like this will be a new experience for me, complimenting Steve Evans on a decision that he's made. Won't it? But, I think the old Steve Evans wouldn't have probably not even played him, quite frankly. Yeah. But he's obviously he obviously recognises the value in getting him some competitive action alongside some experienced players, like you said, and can't fault him, can't fault him on this occasion, and he's right to play it down and everything else. And, he may turn out to be a bang average League One footballer ultimately, because, all this hype nowadays, it's really difficult to sort the wheat from the chaff out, isn't it? To work out whether the people who are sort of propagating all these rumours have got any credibility or not. So, I think Evans has dealt with it really well so far. He's obviously training with the first team regularly. So fingers crossed, he can be developed into a saleable asset, because ultimately that's what the players are. We've not done that over recent years under any manager. So if that's a coup that Evans can pull off, then that'll definitely be a feather in his cap, won't it?
Yeah. Also, in like 7 or 8 years' time, if he turns out to be a great player, Steve Evans can mention him every 2 or 3 interviews.
Well,
I remember.
No negativity, Matt.
Fair enough. Jonathan Mills' only downside is putting him out there before he signed a pro contract. Sure, others will be looking. If the club haven't done something pre-contract or whatever, I'll be really disappointed, to be honest with you. I think and hope they would have done something there. Tom J, just give us your thoughts on Duncan. It's exciting. I used to play. I know I didn't come through the youth system. We kind of signed him in the summer, but it's still really exciting to have a young player who is so highly rated. It's very rare for us as well.
Well, yeah, not just him as well, but it's you can name 3 or 4 players that are genuinely coming through. Again, like you say, maybe not quite the academy, but younger players who are our players who are playing quite well at the minute and making a name for themselves. McGuckin is doing good things at Yeovil. I thought Hatton looked good when he came on. Obviously Duncan as well. And Holmes, that's 4 players there who you like to think maybe one of them in the next 3 or 4 years might, do something and be an excellent player. I think it's really tough to decide now if they're any good. As we all keep saying, Duncan was the best compliment you could pay him is that he didn't look out of place. He wasn't tested defensively, but on the ball he looked okay. In their box he looked a threat, which was interesting, being 16 and being one of the main aerial threats. It's just really a case that we just got to keep maybe loans is the answer. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's training with the first team and sort of, I don't know what the answer is in all honesty, but looks like Scars is doing a decent job bringing through youthful players. But yeah, I at the minute now, all four of them, the ones that I've mentioned, I think still need potentially loans. I don't think they're good enough to come in, and maybe Holmes is the only one that you'd think could come in and stake a place. But the other three definitely need more loans. I mean, McGuckin as well. We have a lot of. It's unfortunate for him. We have a lot of strikers that are just in front of him because of, Nombe's £1 million player. Hugo's played in the Prem. Clark Harris has been this and that. It's tough to start them ahead. And Asong had a great game as well. So it's hard for him to get in that regard. Yeah, I mean, in other aspects though, it's a real positive thing, and I think that's what I really liked about Tuesday was for all intensive purposes a B team, and I thought at parts they played better than we do on a Sunday, Saturday, Tuesday, whatever in a league game. I thought they played better, which people may disagree or agree with that, but it's amazing what confidence does to a team like us. They just all played with a bit of freedom and flicks here and turns there, and some of them didn't pay off, some of them did, and I think that's all we can ask for, really. I think it was the most fun watching Rotherham play this season, where I didn't feel nervous, I didn't feel like we were under pressure, which we weren't against. Credit to those Newcastle under-21s, probably half of them will be in the Prem in 2 years, but they didn't do an awful lot with the ball, which is fine. But it felt like a confident game, and I think that's what we've missed for a while.
Yeah, it is. I also thought we were playing more balanced. We weren't trying to shoehorn a Clark Harris in there or shoehorn Wilkes in there. Yeah. It was basically a proper front three with movement and flexibility in it as well. I suspect that probably played into the confidence of the players, maybe trusting the system in there as well. We'll see. But Tom Case says the problem is a lot of young prospects get close to the first team but never quite break into it. Possibly, yeah. I know this competition gets a lot of stick, but this is what this competition is now for. It's certainly the group stage of the competition. I know when you get through to knockout rounds, it's maybe a bit more serious. But right now, give Hatton some game time, give Duncan some game time. Now we're through. I suspect the same will happen against Bradford. I think we only need a draw to guarantee top spot. So I fully expect we'll do the same sort of thing against Bradford in a month's time or so. And there's the FA Cup coming up in 2 or 3 weeks' time as well. So. Danny, any other players that kind of shone out for you? I think Tom's right. Colin Bramwell had a really good game and kind of staked a claim for me, to be honest. I was really impressed with Bramwell on Tuesday.
Yeah, his crossing ability seemed to improve somewhat in the game, didn't it? Some
of the time.
Yeah, and more in the second half than the first half.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bramwell sort of staked a claim and gave Evans another headache. Holmes had an absolute blinder of a game. I think he won man of the match as well. I believe he did anyway. So he's certainly proving that you can make the leap from whatever division he came from, at least to the EFL Trophy, and put a shift in and stake a claim. But yeah, I think it was a good night for all of the youth players. I think Ben Hatton came on and had a good game, even though it was a bit of a Wilkes situation where he was shoehorned in somewhat. And even Jake Hull as well. I think he had a steady game, even though Paul Davies says that his future lies away from Rotherham, but he's certainly not hindered any chance of another club signing him by that performance. But no, I agree. I think now that we're through to the next round, regardless of where we finish, the next test will be who gets the call up into the Bradford game and all the youth players will we get to see. But I think it was an overall good game for everybody, probably apart from Jules, if I'm being honest.
Poor Jules. To be fair, other than the mistake, he did all right. Just the mistake.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a minus mark on his team sheet, really. Yeah. I thought Asong did really well and to get his goal as well. So yeah, it were a good night all round, in my opinion.
Yeah, he definitely deserved his goal. John Morell says he's struggling to understand the BSM Trophy. And the reason is because Birmingham take 3,500 fans away on a Tuesday night, when everybody else in the competition, we got 1,700 fans right on Tuesday night at home. That's good. That's what you're meant to treat it like. You're taking it too seriously by taking fans to away games.
The thing is, John, you don't treat it seriously until two things happen. Either your team's in the regional final or all the Premier League under-21s teams are out.
Yes, I'll take that one. Harry St. McWilliams had a good game. He did have a decent game to face. Certainly his best game for the club so far.
Do you want to know what an amazing stat is about McWilliams on that night? 100% pass accuracy.
Did he really?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Good lad. That's what I want to see, isn't it?
Well, it's just it's a ridiculous start.
So just in relation to this competition, just going to finish up on it. Finishing top is important because it guarantees you a home time, what would be the last 32. Again, it's not that important, but it is something, which is why topping the group is more beneficial. And there's prize money involved as well, whenever you win your games, which we've won 2 out of 2, conceding just 2 goals.
What do you get? A second-hand Vauxhall Corsa if you win the group, and then
it's only
you're thinking of bullseye.
It's something like 10 grand for a win or something like that. It's reasonable, but you only get 50 grand for winning the first round FA Cup, I think. So it's reasonable. I think you get more for winning a game in this than you do at AFL Cup to start with. So it is reasonable prize money. I think we get £1 million, they reckon, when last time we won it overall throughout the competition. So it is worth winning financially. But yeah, there we are. Let's move forward. Anything else you want to touch on the Bristol Street Motors Trophy? What were you called then? Anything else from that night?
A lot of yellow cards I noticed.
Yeah,
loved the yellow card, that ref.
That ref was, he's something like 54 yellow cards in his last 10 games. And then he handed another 8 out. So it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Almost 6.
It wasn't a bad tackle. There were some cynical ones, weren't there? There were probably 2 or 3 that were probably were yellow cards, maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Not a bad tackling game.
Yeah, it evened out to being 1 tackle equals a yellow card, which was ludicrous. He was a very, very strange, pretty poor referee.
It was, yeah. I agree completely. Ari asking, it was Evans in the dugout. No, from my understanding, he was in the stand, sat next to his mate, Tony Stewart. Which, again, it's fine. Before he came to us last year, when he was Stevenage manager, he wasn't going to turn up to one of the games in what was then the Papa John's Trophy last year. He was going to scout the FA Cup opposition rather than sit in the dugout for the game. When the Rotherham link came up in November, he actually changed his mind and was in the dugout. But he wasn't going to turn to a game, so that's how much he respects his competition. But whatever. He's manager, it's up to him.
Yeah.
Right, let us move forward. It's one of only 2 games this weekend in League One. I don't know what the other one is. It's a relevant kind of thing. But it's a relatively big game, Mick. This is 2 teams who had slowish starts. They're only a point ahead of us, a few places ahead of us. But if either team wins, they'll shoot up the table. I think we'll go 7th, and they'll go into the playoffs if they win. It's a big game. We can go 4 wins in a row. They can go 4 wins at home in a row. It's a big game.
Yeah, it is. And the subplot, obviously, is Evans going back to one of his many old clubs. So yeah, it is a big game, and it always is. Peterborough's a bit of for some reason, they seem to have a bit of a downer on us. Don't know why on earth that is. Points per game. But yeah, they seem to have a problem with us, don't they? So it would be nice. And then the other subplot, obviously, Clark Harris going back there. So yeah, it's important. It's really important. It's probably, from a Rotherham United point of view, it's arguably one of the most important games we've had for a while, given the current run that we're on. We seem to have improved game by game throughout this run. The first game, the Cambridge game, was just woeful. The Shrewsbury game was woeful. But then we've started to kick on a little bit, particularly in that second half last week. So and obviously Tuesday night, albeit with a different team, there seems to be, as somebody pointed out earlier on, I can't remember who it was, playing with a little bit more freedom. So yeah, it's important. It's going to be a tough game though. It's going to be a really, really tough game. But I don't know. I don't know where I'm sitting on this one. I'll be honest.
Okay. We'll come to that. You'll get your prediction in a minute. Tom K, is this the first time we've played them since getting away with murder by getting the points per game? Yes, it is. The last meeting between the 2 sides was in 2020 before the world ended. The people goal scorers that day, Ivan Toney and Sammy Smodics.
Oh, no way.
Which gives you an idea of Peterborough's model, doesn't it? Yeah, they didn't go up that year, but they went up the year after. Johnson Clark Harris fired them to promotion the year after.
Just for the benefit of Alan Swan, how did Peterborough not go up in that season? Was it PPG? Way.
They were robbed, weren't they? Or something?
Disgraceful. Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous.
In the early doors of the first lockdown, that really did make me chuckle how much he lost his mind, I'd say. And it's just like, mate, you have to go and win the playoffs. Oh, you lost that as well. Oh, that's on you. Shame. Never mind.
I wonder if he knows what a cult hero he is in Rotherham. We love him.
I hope so.
He's a top journo.
I do think if he comes to Rotherham, he'll never have to buy a pint purely out of sympathy.
There'll be that much thrown at him that he'll just be able to drink what's thrown at him. Is that what you're saying?
He stood in a corner with a bucket.
That's quite good.
Yeah. It was the season after was called their revenge tour, wasn't it? That ended in promotion. That's what I think McAnthony referred to it as, the revenge tour.
Yeah,
even though they never played us, so there was no revenge to be had. Like, all right.
Exactly. We've both had a couple of promotions since then. Both been relegated. One since then. So we've had two. Just that including that one would be two. Tonky, I love how much they were upset with us, despite the fact it was Wickham that went above them on points per game. Yeah, blame Rotherham. If Alan Swan does an article about it this weekend and doesn't mention points per game or PPG, I'll be gutted. I'll be absolutely gutted. Even if we lose, I fully expect him to reference it.
Win or lose, he needs to reference it. He has to.
He does.
I mean, it's his trademark.
Yeah,
that's what he's known for. It's like
you got it copyrighted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We should play like Alan Swan bingo. Like if he mentions PPG, Steve Evans signing loads of players.
Ferguson's already done that.
Oh, he's already done that. Right. Okay, so that's one team.
Yeah.
Get your bingo cards out.
Aaron Ferguson already mentioned that Steve Evans always signs loads of players and it takes time for him to gel, is basically what he said. Which is a bit of a dig, I suspect. But to be fair, Steve Evans has been very, very complimentary at Darren Ferguson. He said that he referred to Darren Ferguson as one of the best managers in League One. There's the other support of Steve Evans, not only being manager there, lives down there, and he keeps talking about how much of it. It's quite a big game for him. Do you think it helps, Tom? Is this Steve Evans bluster trying to take away focus from players a little bit? Kind of classic Steve Evans, or do you take anything from it?
Not really. I think he does that with a lot of managers. I think he bigs them up and says how much he's mates with them and how much he respects them. I think it's fair. I'd be more worried if he came out in an interview and said how crap he thinks he is and how much of an awful person he is. And I'd be more concerned if he was coming out saying that sort of stuff. If you're coming out and saying that you respect the manager, I don't think it's giving them anything. I don't think it's giving you anything. I think it's just a mutual sort of, we're going to take this game on as we would anyway. And, it doesn't matter to me that it's my former side and this, that, and the other. I think it's fine. I just think if you went the opposite way and were to say, I think he's a load of, I think he's awful and I think he's a load of this, that, and the other, then, certain Ian Everts tend to symptoms to do that. So, and it doesn't really end up well with them. So, it's fine for someone to come out and respect an opposition manager, which we don't say much about Evans. So you got to give him credit when he does it. I think it's fine. I don't think it gives us any less in them anymore.
Yeah, I think they are missing a couple of players. They've got a player on international duty, I think. Hector Kyriakou.
Oh, the Greek guy.
He's Cypriot Greek, yeah.
Oh,
and Archie Collins is out suspended as well. I've done a scouting report, which is good news.
That's good.
I think he's suspended. I think.
Yeah, he's their captain.
Yes, exactly. Done the scouting report. That's up tomorrow. We spoke to Charlie from Up the Poshcast. That is out Friday morning, as it always is. So check that out. Check those guys out as well. It was a nice chat. I didn't ask him about Alan Swan. Should have done. Didn't ask him about Alan Swan. I asked him about the best way to play Johnson Clark Harris, though. Which is what do you think his answer was?
On the bench?
No.
Up front.
up front, get people running for him, and put balls into the box.
Yeah.
What we all
So
know
it'd
is
be
best
1 out
football
of
player.
2 at the minute.
Which one's that?
Well, we're not getting crosses into the box, that's for sure.
We ain't got pace around him either.
Well, we're screwed then.
On to the kind of looking at the team news, Danny. We don't know about Liam Kelly and Sean Raggett. They trained today. It's obviously find out tomorrow. Steve Evans will find out tomorrow if they are available. So we can't really cover those. The one that kind of comes out for midweek, though, is John Hugo got 2 goals. Johnson Clark-Harris has struggled of late, Danny. Had it not been Peterborough, how tempted would you be to give Hugo a go instead of Clark-Harris?
Good question. I mean, Hughel's sort of turning into a Will Grigg sort of character this season, because the last time in League One, Will Grigg was absolutely on fire in the cup competitions, but did little to nothing in the league for us. And it feels like Jordan Hughel's going the same way. It's just a shame that Clark-Harris isn't a Michael Smith figure where he'll bag in the league for you. So for me, I think if Hughel approached league games like he did cup games, Hughel would be in the team after scoring twice. But I don't know what is written into Clark-Harris's contracts, but I have a feeling he will be starting, or at least in the 18 potentially with Nombe and Hughel. But I do think he's going to persist with Clark-Harris, because at least Nombe has that bit of pace. He's just not quite running round Clark-Harris like the Up the Poshcast has said is best utilised for him. But I think if it's quite clear that something is written into Clark-Harris's contract to make him start in the league effectively, he must have like an appearance clause or something. But if it wasn't for that, I would be starting Hughel, to be honest, because even though it was against an under-21 side, he will have that goal-scoring confidence. And Hughel is definitely a confidence player. Once he's got the wind up his back, he's really, really good. But I have a feeling we're going to persist with Clark-Harris, even though he's probably only 80% fit at this point. But remember, we don't play players unless they're 100% fit.
Something which, again, you'll find from the scouting report tomorrow, Mick, is that what they said was talk about Johnson Clark-Harris leaving, about the Peterborough going in a different direction, which we'll come on to. They were referring to Johnson Clark-Harris being very, very good in the changing room. He knew he wasn't playing because of the change in direction, but apparently he was a huge player for the squad as they think they made it into the playoffs last season. That's kind of something that we maybe underestimated, or maybe didn't give Clark-Harris enough credit for. I just got the assumption that he isn't a good around in the change room when he's not playing. Maybe we're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to bear in mind that a lot of our perception of Johnson Clark-Harris is from when he was, how old was he when he was here last time? 18, 19 years old. You know, he was a young, hot-headed kid, as players of that age are. So it's difficult to know. I kind of feel a bit for him. I'm not buying this contract business. I don't see that as being a credible suggestion. I think Evans has bought him and bought him for a reason, or bought him in for a reason. And we all know that he has his favourite players, and I think Clark-Harris is one of those, quite possibly because of what you've just said there about his impact in dressing room. That's probably why he's also got the armband. That's all well and good. It's not. But the two issues with him are, from our point of view, is one, we're playing him in the wrong place. Yeah, because of the formation that we play. And two, I'm still not convinced that he's fit. You know, we know that from previously, and probably from what other clubs who he's played for have said, supporters of other clubs that he's played for have said that, you know, we know he's in and out of games. You know, we know he drifts in and out of games, and you're not going to be able to play a high pressing game with him leading it. But on the flip side of that, you know, you also can't have him dropping so deep, which is what's been happening. He's got to be in the box, you know, and get either get the ball on his head or get the ball to his feet and give him the opportunity to turn or get a shot away. And we're not doing either of those things, so I don't think that's helping him. But I just don't think he's fit. I just don't, and that's not because of him drifting in and out of games. It just, everything about him feels wrong, you know, and also, has he played a full game? I'm sure he must have at some stage. He must have put a full 90 in, but if he has, it's very much the exception and not the rule, which again points to me to the fact that he's not fit. So, yeah, for me, he plays. You know, if he's fit enough, he plays. But he plays in his rightful position, which is in the box essentially, and not dropping short, trying to pick up these long balls.
Yeah, he did interview today to the pre-match presser. Spoke fairly well, to be honest with you. He said he'd never gone more than 5 games at Peterborough without scoring, so he's very confident in his ability, as you'd expect. The strikers have got to be. Strikers have got to be confident in their own ability, otherwise, well, you go on long runs and long spells without scoring.
He's a confident lad.
Yeah,
he's clearly a confident lad, and has the confidence in his own ability that he's clearly got. You know, but we've got to feed him. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, have you watched it then, Matt?
Yeah, it's like 6 minutes or like that.
I saw a headline that said he described his perfect goal. I haven't watched it, and it's not what you expect. What is his perfect goal against Peterborough?
That's probably clickbait, aren't they? And did they not draw you in with that clickbait headline there, Tom?
Well, I didn't. Yeah, I couldn't be bothered to listen to it.
No. They said the Nombe goal against Cambridge is the perfect goal. Basically,
scoring with his hands.
But Nombe didn't do anything.
So yeah,
he didn't do anything, and he scored. Perfect.
Yeah. All right, fair. Yeah, I thought it'd be so much better than that. Sorry.
No. It's from a striker's answer, though, isn't it? A striker, I don't care how I score. I want the goal. I'll go celebrating like it was a stunner.
Yeah,
that's what Clark Harris is. I don't like that.
I guess it's valid.
I would say with Clark Harris, his more dream goal would be the one that he scored against Leeds for us, was it, back in the day?
That's a bit contexty, though, isn't it? If you know what I mean. That goal was good because it was his first goal for the club against Leeds United, live on Sky, which was a bigger thing back than it is now. I think the context that was bigger than... But then this number goal, again, the context of the number goal is massive as well, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean... If it were me, I'd rather score that type of goal against Leeds, like a 20-yard screamer against one of the biggest teams in Yorkshire. Yeah, and it's the winning goal as well. I'd take that any day rather than scoring with my backside in the 91st minute as like an accidental winning goal.
After a 2-year drought.
After a 2-year drought, yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose that's what you mean, Matt, with the contextual thing. Take it out of context. It's like it's one of the worst winning goals you can score. But if you've not won in 2 years, it's one of the best ones, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm in the Clark Harris camp. If I'm a striker, I couldn't care less how I score. It gets you a goal bonus, which so financially is really, really good, and you score a winning goal for your team. Couldn't care less. But it doesn't matter, does it, really?
No.
Steve in the comments said, it's hard to imagine how the 3 up front will ever work. No cohesion, no width, just hoping they do something individual. That's what I can't remember talking about a minute ago, Tom, about the Tuesday game, about the balance being there with the Song and Holmes really helping Hugo. I agree with Steve. It's difficult to see because we're playing too narrow with those 3, whereas the 3 on Tuesday were wide. Nombe, Clark Harris, and Wilkes are so narrow, and that's the problem. That's the huge problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be the case that we have players playing out of position with those front 3, and that's almost like universally agreed that that's the case because Wilkes, I mean, I think a lot of people are falling out of love with him because he doesn't impact games like he could do, and I just think it's because he's playing in the wrong position. I mean, every time you see him do something good, it's from when he cuts in on the right and absolutely smacks it with his left foot and something happens. I mean, every time. I mean, our Dolphins goal against Reading came from him cutting in on the right, causing a bit of chaos and a bit of I don't know what's happening here, and it just creates a bit of something with them 3 up front. It looks like Nombe's trying to get in behind, but then Clark Harris comes short, and then if Clark Harris comes short, it means he's not in the box, and if he's not in the box, then he's not scoring. And if he comes short, sure, his hold-up play is okay, but it's not as good as Hugo. So why don't you start Hugo? And there's so many different questions and sort of tactics with those front 3 that it doesn't work at all because then Wilkes looks out of place and then Nombe looks like he's doing everything himself. And again, like Steve said, there's no cohesion. There's no real if there's no one in any of their heads. It's not, okay, well, if Malik's there, I need to be there. And then if Clark Harris is there, I need to be this way. And, there's no real understanding of each other's games. And maybe that's the thing, is that he's playing them enough times so that eventually it'll click. But I don't think it will click. I think they need to be played in the positions that they want to be played in. And I have no issue with playing them three together. I don't think that's an issue. But I think playing them three like that is the issue. I think if you play Clark Harris by himself up front, you let Nombe behind him, and then you put Wilkes out wide right, and then you've got Holmes, Hungbo, Bramall to come in wide left. You've got options, and you can still play the three players that you're so desperate to play. And yeah, people are going to say Nombe behind Clark Harris. Will that work? Nombe runs and runs and runs. If you get him pressing either alongside Clark Harris, behind him, whatever it may be, he'll create a lot of issues, and he will always arrive in the box. We can see that he's got a shot from outside the area. He's got a bit more technical ability to him, and it leaves Clark Harris by himself in the box, and that's where you want him to be. I mean, if you ask any single fan of Bristol Rovers or Peterborough, none of them would say that his game outside the box was that of a top League One striker. They'll say it's all right, which we can all see it's all right. His work that he does really well is inside the box because he scores. I mean, that header against... you can name a chance each game that you think, okay, maybe he could have scored that. And that's where the lack of fitness comes into it and lack of sharpness maybe come into it. But if he's not in the box, he's not going to score. And because he's dropping so deep constantly, he's not going to be in the box because he's not got the pace to get in the box. It just makes no sense to me why we keep playing the same three in the same way, hoping that something will change. Even if you play Nombe wide left and Wilkes wide right, or vice versa, that works as well. You can still play the same three, but just vary it a little bit is what I personally think. But then you lose an extra man in midfield, and I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, but that might not be Evans's thinking. So I kind of agree, and I kind of don't. That I think those three up front could work, but not in the current way that they're playing, as in tactic and formation wise.
I think a traditional 4-3-3 with Wilkes, like I said, Wilkes on right, Nombe on left. I think that works. Because Nombe, it's not ideal for Nombe, but he can cut in and score. But you would tend to give those two a bit more freedom as well. You wouldn't just say, right, you just wide. You've got a bit of freedom to change as well and whatever as well. So I think that a bit more flexibility.
But that could be the thing that he's saying now. He could be saying to them now, look, Sam, you start out wide left, you start out wide right, and that's how they're all migrating. Yeah. It could be a case of that, which I don't think. I don't think that. I think it would be better if you gave them the definite. You're wide right, you're wide left. You have some flexibility, but we need to keep that width at all times. Yeah. So that's what I think Hungbo and Holmes did well against Newcastle. Is they kept width really well. Bramall on an overlap was dangerous. It just works. It works a lot better with me. And we talk about width every single podcast, but unless it starts happening, it's not gonna change. We're gonna keep talking about it because even though we're starting to win games now, I still think we can be better. And I think that's one of the key reasons is the formation tactic change.
To play devil's advocate though, Danny, and I agree. I think we all agree with what we just discussed. But the second half against Reading, we played the same players, the same formation, and we were comfortably better than them. We comfortably deserved to win the game. So Evans may be against the thinking of changing things because it worked really well for 45 minutes last week.
Yeah, it did, but the same issue still raise their heads that width is the way to go, because if you play narrow, teams tend to work you out quicker. If you go out wide, like there's still the unpredictability of either cutting inside and shooting, like we've seen Wilkes do and Nombe do, or getting a ball into the box, which suits Clark Harris. Yeah, we played a lot better in the second half against Reading, and it got us 2 goals in very quick succession, which was a complete surprise to me, truth be told. But I think it was a case of, in my opinion at least, like, don't get me wrong, I've not watched the game back or anything like that, but it almost felt like we shell-shocked Reading with the first goal. And then we were able to grab the second one, and then suddenly the game's turned on its head, and Reading eventually lost their head at some point and got a man sent off. But I'm more leaning into agreement with Tom with this one. I feel like Nombe's best position is behind Clark Harris as the runner. He's not quite a number 10, but he sort of pivots round Clark Harris in the sense of he's the presser and Clark Harris is the one to latch on to a loose ball and take a shot, or he's the one in the 6-yard box. when we get balls into the box from out wide. That feels like it's the best partnership, but we haven't truly discovered it yet. But with the exception to the Reading game, I think we've played the best football when we've had width, because it stretches the play, it asks the opposition the question, it keeps us more mobile rather than trying to pass it round and go, oh, there's no option to progress, then we'll play it long. Like, that's not the way forward for us. We are a lot better than a team that plays like that, in my opinion, at least, anyway.
Fair enough. We've talked about this on the last podcast, but the start to the game is going to be really important, as it has been in previous games. We started pretty well in most of our games. The first 5 to 10 minutes of nearly every game has been all right, to be fair. And only in the Reading game with the first 5 minutes in the second half is it kind of worked. So that says we're going to start quick, and if we can get an early goal, that's going to put the game in our favour. Do you kind of trust us to do that?
Well, we've not done it so far, have we?
No.
And probably without exception, we've been poor in every first half. With the exception of the first 5-10 minutes or so, we come out quickly and we just peter out into nothing. So for me, the key, we could talk about how well we played against Reading on last Saturday, and we did in the second half, because for the reason that Tom's outlined there, those 2 front players, Nombe and Wilkes, were playing out wider, and it's no coincidence that the 2 goals both came from crosses from out wide. So if we can do that on Saturday, then we'll cause them some problems. But I don't know whether that's what the way that Rayner and Evans want them set up. We've been told before by supporters who sit by the dugout that Rayner's constantly telling, or has been at some stage of the season, constantly telling the team to keep it narrow, which it's not going to help us. I assume that's to try and win the second ball from the UFAT defence that we've been doing. Again, particularly in the first half of games. So the key to this is width. We've got those players. We've got the players that can play out there. We've got the players that can put the ball in the box. We've also got the players that can get on the end of those balls into the box. And we've not been doing it. And when we do it, we start to score goals. So this is not an Evans Rayner issue. We've said this under the last 3 managers, Paul Warne included. Well, not so much Paul Warne, because he was all about getting balls into the box. But certainly Richardson and Taylor, who were saying exactly the same thing. He's just not getting the ball in the box, and we're in a similar situation here. And I think that's possibly one of the frustrations that we've had on the start to the season, that we expected those balls into the box, and they've not come because we've not had the width. If they have come, they've come from more central positions. So it's frustrating, and the thing that's the most frustrating part about it is that we've got so many decent wide players, and we're playing them out of position, as Tom said there in the comments. The Newcastle game, round pegs in round holes, and it worked well, albeit we've caveated that already with against an under 21 and our sort of second string team. So, but that's something you mentioned earlier on as well about the game on Tuesday night. The players appear to play with some freedom. It feels to me that the first team are not playing with any freedom whatsoever.
Yeah.
It feels that I don't know what the reason is for that. We can all have our suggestions and guesses, and I'm not going to be negative about it. But we need to get the ball out wide.
Do you think it's freedom or confidence?
I think it's freedom.
Okay.
I think it's freedom. Personally, I think, apart from the width issue, the other issue that we're suffering from this season is that there is no freedom for players. It feels like there isn't. I'm not saying there isn't. That's how it feels. That's how it appears to me. This is how we're going to play. Don't do anything different outside of what we've told you. This is how it's going to be, kind of scenario. Yeah. Whether that's right or not, I don't know.
But when you're building up a system, that's kind of what you've got to do to start with, isn't it? To get the players comfortable in it, to then express themselves, you need to be kind of strict to start with, to drill it into them. But that assumes that the system is right and it's going to work eventually. That's the issue.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and you've no idea whether it is going to work. But we can see that so far, with the exception of a few sort of flashes in that second half against Reading, it's not even looked close to working. And there was a change in the way that we set up slightly in that that second half of the Reading game. So, yeah, let's see.
Well, I think we talked about it on the way back from Gateshead. I'm not sure we mentioned it on Sunday. We were much less direct in the second half against Reading.
Yeah.
Much less direct. We weren't just going from the defenders and from McCart to Johnson Clark Harris. It wasn't total football, but it wasn't as direct. We weren't just bombing it long, which I think is why it was so much better. And we'll tell if that was on purpose or not. If McCart goes long for first kick on Saturday, then it was just kind of an accident. But we'll see about that. Ref watch is Elliot Bell, a young referee. I think I've counted about. He's done about 6 EFL games over the last couple of seasons. So he is very, very young. He's very new, aren't we? Young. So he's never refereed us before. He's never refereed Peter before, as far as I can find as well. So we have nothing to base that on. You'd assume, bear in mind, it's the highest level of game in English football on Saturday. They'd have got a higher level referee. I'm glad they haven't got Keith Stroud or something to come down here. But you would have thought they would have done, bearing in mind it's the biggest. Anyway, whatever.
Anyway, but no, hopefully he does well in the PPG derby. Big game for him to ref. Hopefully he does well.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott Kent says, Steve Evans says Nombe will score on Saturday, so if he doesn't, we can blame him. We can work with that. The end of him is listening to the interview today. Steve Evans kind of referenced for the first time that there were some really poor performances this season. So I thought it was interesting. He sounded a little, to be fair, so I think he was a bit downbeat about everything because he sounds like bunged up. So that might have been why he's less, he's Atlantic or whatever. But yeah, defense, Danny. It's very tempting to just stay as you are because defensively we were fine against Reading. I know they scored, but I thought we were pretty solid. McCart was very, very good. Raffit is finally coming to his own. Reece James is comfortable. Cameron Frizz, I think, was one of his better performances this season. But you got Sean Raggett coming back, who should be fit. Cohen Bramwell had a really, really good game on Tuesday as well. You need stability and balance, but you also need to give players a chance who have played well, like Cohen Bramwell.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the old argument of do you stick or do you twist and hope it's better? And I'd argue with how we've been defensively recently, I'd say the only anomaly really is the Birmingham game, where we've been really, really poor at the back. So I'd say stick with it. I mean, I know Raggett's coming back from injury again, but maybe it's a Liam Kelly situation. Maybe it's like, yeah, he's going to be fit, but is it worth putting him straight back in just in case he goes straight back out with an injury again? Is it worth giving him a week or two just to settle a little bit with where he is at the minute, and then you put him in for X amount of time on the pitch? But for me, I'd stick with the defence. It seems to be a nice little partnership that's building. Obviously, there's a mistake in him here and there, but we seem to be ironing it out now. And I think that's just through consistency of playing together. They're understanding each other now, and they know where each other's weaknesses are. It helps that we've also got Cam Dawson in goal, who can mop up a mistake as well. Like, take, for example, his stunning double save from a Cam Humphries mistake, and then from their player. If we've got a goalkeeper capable of doing that, then we should, fingers crossed, touch wood, be all right with the defence that we've got. So for me, it's a stick with McCart and Humphries for now.
I'd be concerned playing Raggett. These are very quick, very, very quick team. They've got Ricky J. Jones, who, according to Charlie from the Poshcast, can do 100 metres in 10-ish seconds. So they are a team full of pace. So maybe Cohen Bramwell does start. If that's the case, you got bring out. Do you go 5 at the back and chuck Bramwell in there as well as Reece James? Do you just say, right, okay, Bramwell was very, very good on Tuesday, and he's got the pace. So is it necessary this time to do so? Do you make that adjustment based on the opposition? That much of a change, based on the opposition?
Well, it depends. Well, I don't know where this lad there's plays. If he plays down there right
Right.
side, then that's absolutely you do then.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean it's almost a no-brainer, isn't it? You know, because otherwise that pace is going to hurt you. I'd be very, very surprised if he's quicker than Colin Bramwell. Very surprised, quite honestly. But he may well be. So, but yeah, it's that for me is a definite. If this lad's playing, you've got to be able to match it. And with the greatest respect to Reece James, he's solid, but he ain't a pacey left back, is he? So, yeah, let's wait and see where that one pans. How that one pans out. I think we know.
You don't know his DMs, do you?
Well, I suppose not really. No.
He's going to go 5 at back, but Reece James at middle and Colin Bramwell left back, or Colin Bramwell as a left winger, or some nonsense. You just never know. Kind of the fun.
No fun.
Let's do some predictions. Prediction league is up. Mick, you've got a gap.
Yes.
You've got a half-point gap at the top of the table.
What the hell?
I know. He's took it seriously this year.
I know he has.
Tom, you moved up a place though. You got the 2-1 right, so you've moved above Danny. Danny went for a draw, I think. Joy got the first 3 points. Ben is really struggling. Ben's just got a 1 point so far.
Ben is the Cambridge of this league.
What I like is that Kev's clearly not taking it seriously. He's just gone 3-0 every week, and he's still beating Ben, who is trying to change his scores every week.
Oh God!
So Ben needs to pull his finger out. We'll get him on in a few weeks to
explain.
Yeah. We have who is not here as predicted. Kev's obviously gone 3-0. Ben this time has gone for a draw. He thinks it's going to be 1-1, and Joy has gone for 2-1 to us as well. Tom, you're next on my list. Your second place, 5 points behind Nick. What do you reckon?
I'm going to go 1-0 Rotherham.
Like style. Very good. Danny.
I think, to be the positive of positive things tonight, I think we're building up a little bit of a head of steam at the minute, so the momentum might carry us through. I reckon we're going to win 2-0.
2-0.
I think
enough.
Is that a buzzer to tell you you're right?
That's Danny's phone. Danny's house phone is from the 1930s.
Yeah, and I can tell you exactly what this is. This is my granddad trying to ring my mum to ask what's happened today, even though he knows not to ring between 8 and 9 o'clock because I'm on a podcast.
Fair enough.
It's just disgusting, that. Such hatred.
There you go, it's
England.
not now.
Oh dear. Mick, top of the league, 5 points clear. You can just relax. Come on.
Yeah. Chill,
6-4. Who cares?
Yeah, let's go for that. Let's go for a Wolverhampton Wanderers type game, and we'll.
5-3.
I can't see us getting a win.
Okay.
I can't see us getting two away. I mean, it'd be great if we got 2 away wins on trot. The old buses scenario, wouldn't it? Maybe I'll go for that. Maybe I will. No, 2-piece. I think there was some
2-piece.
2-piece. Yeah, 2-2.
Jeez.
That was a roller coaster, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
John Morell saying 3-1 to Peterborough. Says, sorry, lads, they play similar to us and not convinced you can deal with that sort of team. Palmad's going 2-0 to Peterborough. That's from not professional. Caleb Wilson going 3-1 to us. Tom Kay saying 1-1. Harry says 1-0 to Peterborough. John Manns 1-0 to us. Steve going 1-1 as well. For me, you've got to be positive. I know they are a footballing side, but Peter have always had soft bellies.
Yeah.
And they clearly do have a soft belly. I know they pushed Birmingham very close, but they got battered 3-0 at Wigan, and they lost to somebody else as well. They're a very funny team. If they turn up and they are on it 100%, they'll probably win the game. But I don't think they're there yet. I
think this game matters more about how good they are than how good we are.
Yeah. We got stifle them. I wonder how much pressure Ferguson's under as well. You know what that club's like, don't you? If they find themselves 6 points just at playoffs, 12 games in, McAnthony's not very patient, is he? They'll just bring. Who do they normally get instead of Ferguson?
Grant McCann.
Grant McCann.
Evans.
Yeah.
I
So get
swear
Grant McCann in.
Peterborough's manager over the last 10 years has either been McCann, Ferguson, or Evans, and that's it.
Yeah.
This is Darren Ferguson's 4th spell at Peterborough.
Jesus.
So yeah, funny. They're a funny club. They're a funny club who we think dislike us. We may be wrong. They might not dislike us, but we feel like they dislike us.
Well, they have got 2 reasons to dislike us. We beat them on PPG, even though it wasn't us that pipped them at Wickham, and we also didn't sell them back Kyoso.
True. What about the Kyoto situation?
Is that no? Sorry, is that Peter's brother?
Okay, so Peterborough always score but can never defend. Yeah, we're still Paul Lewis, but we're on one of the lowest scorers in the league. So far this year. Which is quite weird for a Steve Evans team. I think it is anyway. I'll be honest. I think we've got through just about everything I've written down. Is there anything else you want to mention?
Do you think Harrison Duncan gets a place on the bench and/or starting 11?
Ooh.
No. Zach Jules has got to get in front of him, hasn't he?
Well, not necessarily.
It'd be very harsh on Zach Jules, wouldn't it? Very, very
it says
harsh.
more about Evans' opinion of Jules if Duncan gets in front of him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'd be interesting if he did.
It would be very interesting. And again, it'd be pretty exciting if he did. But I wonder if it'd be a bit pointless. I think it'd be better off if there is under 18s game. Keep playing in the youth games for the time being wherever there are available.
Makes sense.
Jules weren't, other than the mistake, Jules were all right on Tuesday. I mean, if he had to come in, I'd be pretty comfortable with him playing based on that 90 minutes.
Yeah. He was fine.
Yeah. Bless him. Second to last request for you to vote for is in the Football Content Awards. That ends midnight on Sunday, the voting. I've posted the comment in the comments. That's where comments tend to go. So if you haven't done so already, please do so. Go on footballcontentawards.com/voting. You'll find under the best club content creators, you'll find New York Talk under the Football League section. If you can vote through multiple platforms. If you go on through Twitter, you can vote through that link. If you go on through a different browser, you can vote through there as well. So if you haven't done so already, please do. Only a few more episodes for us to really annoy you on that one, and then we'll find something else to annoy you with. Because we're good at that. We're really wicked. We're good at annoying you on that one. Anything else?
I think it might be worth just talking about the tragic passing of George Baldock overnight, which was was horrific news for people to wake up to. Really, for a lad so young, it's tragic. Really, it really is. And you know, in circumstances like this, football colours don't matter, do they? You know, he spent a lot of years at Sheffield United and been a fantastic servant for him, and for that to happen to somebody of that age is it's mind blowing, really. My sympathies, and obviously with his family and friends, and the people who were close to him, and the people at Sheffield United as well, because they're going to be obviously devastated.
Yeah, he's one of those players that you don't see a bad word said about him. All Sheffield United fans thought the absolute world of him.
Yeah.
Which tends to tell you about the person that he is as well. Yeah,
he was an absolute monster of a fullback whenever we played Sheffield United as well. He epitomised everything Sheffield United was, to be fair. And it's not so long since I saw him in Sheffield as well before he went to Olympiacos, which is a bit of a Panathinaikos. Yeah, close enough. But yeah, it is. I think it's rocks football, really, because 31 is the age that some players just think about retiring and moving on to the next stage of life. So to hear this absolutely horrendous news, it's proper rock football, really.
Yeah, absolutely does. It makes his thoughts to his family and friends and anybody that knew the guy, because it's terrible, terrible news. Anything else you want to finish on that's going to make us smile, though? That's obviously tragic news. Is there anything else we can leave everybody with a smile with?
England losing. That's quite funny.
Is it funny?
Yeah.
Watch your own national team lose?
Yeah, because England are currently epitomising everything Rotherham United. They pass it round, do it, play it long, and then nothing happens. And now we're 1-0 down.
We don't keep the ball as well as England.
No.
Way.
No.
No. Right, we will knock it on the head, which is a bit shorter than we normally do, but that's what the Bristol Street Motors does to you. Please make sure you have subscribed on YouTube if you haven't done so already. Make sure you have voted for us in the Football Content Awards, which we've already asked you to multiple times, and we will keep doing for a few more days. Scan reports out on Friday morning, so if you want to hear a bit more detail about what the Peterborough fans think of Clark Harris, what they think of Steve Evans, what they think of Ferguson, a couple of other players that they're going to point out for you. Make sure you check that out. We shall be back on Sunday evening, which will be a review of this game that's happening on Saturday. And we'll pick out anything else that we can find that is tenuously Rotherham United related. Hopefully, we'll be looking at 4 wins in a row in autumn. Can you imagine?
Imagine.
Eddie Heights has only been won 4 in a row since Paul Warren were here. So it's a long time since that happened. So we can dream that it can happen. If not, what would be 5 unbeaten? If we even if it's a draw, 5 unbeaten, which again would be I think the best one we've had again since Paul Warren was here. So hopefully this can be the start of something. We can jump something like 10 places if we win. So it'll be could be a very good Saturday evening if we pick up 3 points. Thank you all for being with us. We really appreciate being with us, especially when England are playing as well. 100 and whatever people that's watching live. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Danny and Danny's Wi-Fi. That's
kind of works.
Yeah.
It's a lot better without the camera. And I don't mean the
Wi-Fi. Thank you all for being with us. We will see you all next time. And as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers. Up the Millers.
I think I always made the comment that once a Miller, always a Miller.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good Evans, he's done it again. Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office, and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favor, drop me off in